What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here, and you are seeing it. You are seeing a review for the anime, man. But as I told y'all, when I am free, which I am free this weekend, I try my best to talk about the awesome sauce, especially for this moment. And from the moment that last week's episode ended, I said next week I want to make some time to talk about this week's episode, because this week's episode it covers something that I really a scene that I really love in Whole Cake Island. So and it's quite odd how this episode went, though. It really struck me in which some things were placed, and the pacing of the episode was extremely odd to me. Very odd to me, but we'll get into that here in a second. I want to go over, of course, a couple of the official things for the episode. Of course, the episode was titled "A Goodbye Pudding's Cheerful Determination," which was the scene that I really could not wait to see. And actually, it's quite something that I went into it, just wanting to talk about that scene. But in actuality, even though there was a little bit of choppy parts here and there when it came to the art and from an animation standpoint, there was definitely a lot of wallpaper-worthy scenes, man. And you guys know me, man. I'm here to bring you a new wallpaper every single episode, which is what I do on Twitter, man. I always try to find the best frames, best stills I can find and post them, man, because in this arc, we've had a lot of wallpaper-worthy screenshots. So, but before we get into that, I want to talk about what this episode covered. So this episode covered the last page. Yes, the last page of chapter 848. The entirety of chapter 849. And then the final, I would say, a minute, minute and a half, actually was something that wasn't even in the manga. And what I mean by that is that it was a scene that I guess you can call it filler. It is filler, but because it's a scene that happens in the manga, but it's the scene that doesn't happen yet. It happens next chapter, or next up. It's gonna happen where it will be placed like next episode. However, where it's showing him and he goes and it shows Luffy like tying himself up into that thing. Whenever we saw that in the manga, we just saw him already tied up. So this, with the end of this episode, showed us, the thought process into what went into him going into, putting his entire arms around his body. So that was very interesting to me. And it caught me off guard, because I was like, what? I don't recall seeing this in the manga. I actually went back and I reread it. And that's exactly how it was. We just saw him already in that state, and here it showed the process of him getting to that state. So I was like, well, that's interesting. That's an anime only feature right there. But this episode was very odd in terms of that, man. In terms of the way that it was structured. So let's start off, of course, with the beginning. The scene that I wanted to see the most, the scene that I could not wait for it to get animated, the scene that I knew when it was going to get animated, it was going to be a really well done scene. Now, I don't know why they didn't do this last week. I really, truly don't. Because it would have been a great way to end it in the same way that it ended in the manga, with her saying goodbye, leaving you off on that cliffhanger. However, instead, we got it in the beginning of this week's episode. In the beginning of this week's episode, we got the goodbye, which is very interesting. And I'm trying to think up in my head as to why they would do that. But it is what it is. The scene in of itself was done really well. Really nice soundtrack placement. I loved some of the facial expression scenes shown from Luffy and from Nami, reacting to what Pudding stated. And then, of course, the actual scene of her telling them this, where it just pauses. I love when the One Piece anime shows those scenes where everything, it's just like time stops whenever somebody's saying something. And you just, for like 5 seconds, it goes down. And it's trying to remember the effect where it slowly goes down, where a picture slowly goes down on, before revealing like the full thing. But that was the effect that was used here, showing it off from all the way on top of Nami's expression going all the way down to Luffy's, and while putting is saying this entire thing, but it's almost as if time itself has stopped. And to me, that is such an awesome an important effect for this particular scene, because whenever I first read this in the manga, that's exactly what I felt. I felt like time had stopped. So I feel like that scene was perfect. I love when the One Piece anime does stuff like that. So that was definitely huge props there. And then of course the choice to not have a background when Pudding delivers the goodbye to me was great. Showing her, of course, from a full body, well, not really full body, you can't really see the bottom part of her legs, but like from her thighs upward, and then she turns around and you see the tears, and she says a goodbye, but instead it closes up right on her face. In the manga, that's not how it was. In the manga, it was an upper body shot of her saying goodbye, and that was it. But the anime, they built up to it, to where it actually showed her like that, turning around, saying it, and then like whenever she said the goodbye part, it closed in on her face. So I thought that was a very, very interesting choice of perspective there, and I like that kind of stuff. I like that kind of stuff because if not, we would just be seeing, the manga showing up onto the anime, just being adapted, panel for panel. And as much as I enjoy seeing Ichiro Oda's stuff come to life, I also like seeing the animators or the directors, showing in like their own perspective and their own spice. That's why we watch the anime, to see like these things come to life, but to also see it from sort of like a different perspective. I actually enjoy certain filler things when they're done right, not like whenever you have Luffy and Caesar. They made it seem like my boy was struggling. Luffy should not be struggling against Caesar, man. And even though it was a bit epic in the way that they did it in the anime, it's just no. No, man. That when he used Grizzly Magnum, it was over. It was over. But getting off that. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Stuff that you get from the anime that you would not normally get from the manga. Expanding more on the scene, expanding more, giving more to the atmosphere of the scene. I thought they did a really good job there in the first part. Because that's what I was looking forward to seeing the most, was Pudding's goodbye scene. So after that ended like so in the beginning of the episode, like 6 minutes in, that part already ended. What I wanted to see the most in it, and I was like, man, dude. So, but I forgot how great the rest of the stuff in this episode was going to be. Now, there was a couple of moments in this episode where I was like, man, what is going on from an animation standpoint, bro? And I'm not talking about, in terms of the way that stuff looks in between frames. I'm talking about, I was just looking at it and I was like, this, going from Dragon Ball Super's episode to watching this episode, I was like, man, there is a clear difference in the way that these things are done. But it's okay. It's okay, because as the episode went on, from that scene up until we got to Brook, when we got to Brook, man, listen to me, bro. I legit took like 12 screenshots on my computer. When we got to Brook's scene, when my boy started going in, man. Oh, dude, I swear, I had like 12 screenshots. It was done so well. There was so many. I'm telling you, bringing you a new wallpaper with every single episode, bro. It's just glorious stuff. Glorious stuff, man. Before the eye catches came up, when our Big Mom was walking down the hallway, it showed like this really nice close-up of like half of her face, because what I liked about it was it showed like that sinister look. It didn't show her full body, it didn't show her full face. First you saw her legs, her feet, that like, oh snap, she's mad, but without actually telling you that she's mad. You can sense it in the way that her feet are moving. The doom, and it slowly shows like half of her face to where you can't tell if she's angry, but you could tell it's kind of menacing, like on some JoJo stuff. And I thought that was really, really good. That was really good. So when we switched back to Brook, and Big Mom arrives to where Brook is, and yet again, even some more great art right here, man. There was some really nice facial animation when it came to Big Mom's face while she was delivering her speech to Brook. And I thought that the way that like Big Mom's face and the way that it came off was it just fit her character. It really fit her character. So the entirety of like the Brook stuff, and when Big Mom arrived to catch Brook like in the act of attempting to steal the road poneglyph, that right there was to me pretty that and like the end of the episode, and of course like the beginning as well, but that right there was like the part that really caught me off guard, because I really enjoy that stuff in the manga, but there's a scene later on down the line that just overshadows everything for me when it comes to this part, that I tend to forget stuff like this, and the anime really delivered when it came to the Big Mom and Brook scene. I really did appreciate that. Heading over into the stuff with Tamago and Pedro, man. This is some straight up manly stuff right here. Straight up, nothing but it. I absolutely love the way that this was handled. In terms of, from Tamago's standpoint and from Pedro's standpoint, the build up to this reveal was great. Showing, you know, that these guys have history together, and showing, you know, the way that it's slowly revealed into Pedro revealing his scar. But on the other side, and I love the choice of perspective here, man. We get to see like a bottom shot, or like a shot from under him of Tamago, and all you see is like this from right under him, like it's like you're under him, but you're also like at the side, and you're on the side of where his scar is. So you're forced to look at the scar and like, you know, think like, how did he get that? And while you're thinking that, it comes up on the screen. Yeah, like the way that both of us got these scars, man, and it still aches. The scar still aches, and I'm like, yo, this is great stuff right here, man. It really immersed you and got you so invested into what they were saying. So great choice of perspective on that scene, man. That scene right there had me so hyped in the manga, man. Tamago and Pedro greatness. You guys, if you were anime only, you are in for some absolute awesome sauce with the upcoming with this stuff that you're seeing right here with Pedro and Tamago. But yeah, man, with these guys having history, it's so good. It's so good. And I love the slow revelation into seeing that he has no eye, like the scar right there. You know, since he always has that part covered. But the revelation that him and Tamago, man, the revelation that Pedro, that Big Mom took 50 years off of Pedro's life, man. And so great stuff right there, man. Great stuff. And like I said, that part and Brook's part, it's like I remembered, I know that it happens, but actually seeing it, because like I said, I went into this with the expectations of everything, like the only highlight of this episode being the pudding scene for saying goodbye, but I came blown away by the art in the Brook segment and the choice of the way the art was handled and the storyboarding in the Tamago and Pedro scene. Really good stuff right there. Now let's get into Reiju and her getting shot. In the manga, and this is what I mean by additions to the scene, like how the end of the episode is an addition to what's going to happen next episode. In the manga, we saw everything that we saw in this episode, with the whole Chopper delivering a nasty spine buster. Did you see Chopper delivering a spine buster in monster form? Like it was Batista in his prime? Ah! Great stuff. But, you know, so everything that you saw in this episode went, you know, all in the correct way that it went in the manga. And then you get to a certain point where we see Reiju, and she's out and about. She's out and about, just doing her thing. That was not in the manga. In the manga, we went directly from Tamago and Pedro to, on the very next page, seeing a bloodied Reiju moving. And seeing like the blood on the wall, and she was, you know, with all the blood coming down, and you're like, what in the flying flagnars just happened? So that was very key for me. I was like, so they went as far as to actually include a scene where she was physically shot, and she actually turned around, saw, and then was shot? I was like, bro, whoa, like that caught me off guard, man. I'm legit, that caught me off guard, because I thought that was great. I showed her, then it showed the door saying, that's weird. And then it showed Reiju right over there going down. Then she goes out, she goes out where you know, where it's raining outside. She's out and about, and a gun pulls up right behind her, and you're like, oh snap. Like, you know how One Piece does like that change of pace so well, to where it could be like extremely funny or extremely epic in one scene, then just like holy flagnards in the next scene. That's what happened here. and like Reiju looks behind, he's like, you ba. And to me, I was like, yo, great addition right there on the anime's part. Great addition right there on the anime's part, man. Because as much as like the mystery aspect from the manga of just turning the page and seeing Reiju bloodied up, you're like, what in the flying flag nerds happened to Reiju? And that's how that chapter ended. That's how that chapter ended, was with Reiju, crawling and holding onto the blood. He's like, who shot Reiju? What's going on here? To actually showing, the lead up to that scene. And that's something that Whole Cake Island has been doing really, really well thus far. Is showing lead-ups to scenes to where we just got to the scene and that's it. It's also adding around the scene, the atmosphere that led up to the scene. And I was like, really, really good choice right there. Really, really great choice to lead up to that scene, man, because now the anime gives you like that different type of feel to where now you start thinking up of some clues. Now you start thinking of like, yo, like who was there at this point in time, at this time here, this time here. Because in the manga, I was like, what in the flying flag nerds? Like, what happened? And like the sense of time was a bit off, and you were like, what? But here you're like, yo, because it's happening in between the scenes of the other stuff. In between like the transitions of the other scenes, you are seeing Reiju here and again and here and again. And it all started off with the beginning of the episode. Because I was just so used to saying the beginning of the chapter, because at the beginning of the chapter started off with the Vince Smokes talking about, where's Reiju and whatnot. And it was right after the scene with Luffy, Nami, and Pudding, where we get to see them talking about, where's Reiju. And it's so interesting. It's so interesting to me the way this episode was structured. And then, of course, we get to the end of the episode, and the awesome sauce, man, as my man Uzumaki-kan calls it, the music starts playing. And Luffy says, we're getting out of here, man. Really, really good art when it comes to Luffy and Nami. He's trying to get the flipping flag nerds out of there, and the episode ends with him saying, I'm basically going to come to get you, Sanji. Now, all that stuff was not in the manga, but I appreciate it because it is going to be a lead-in into next week's episode's content. So that's going to be some good stuff. So overall, this week was a solid sauce of an episode with some great wallpaper-worthy screenshots. Pudding's scene was really well done. The scene with Brook and Big Mom was really, really well done. I love that scene. The Tamago and Pedro stuff, man, I just love the way they did it, man. I love the way that it was shot. The storyboarding on that particular scene was great. And then, of course, the additional scenes added to Reiju being shot and leading up to the mystery of like, whoa. Because now, instead of you just seeing that and be like, what in the world happened? Now you know what happened. Now the only question is, who did it and why? And that is the difference between the way that the anime handled it and the way the manga handled it. So I enjoyed it. I thought this episode, provided a couple of anime-only things that are nice. It's always nice to see certain anime-only qualities come out during the anime, because at the end of the day, they are two different entities. It is an adaptation of the manga. It is, but we'd like to see the way that a director would handle a certain scene that Oda has laid out for you. Oda has laid this thing completely out for you. All you have to do is just follow it. But we also like to see, as fans, where they go above and beyond and give us something that, would look cool from their perspective, or from this perspective. At least for me, I like seeing some stuff that is anime only when it is, when it's something that adds more to the scene or adds more to the atmosphere. In terms of, from a good standpoint, from like a standpoint that would add to whatever the case may be that's going on, like with the Luffy scene at the end of the episode, it's going to add into something in the next episode, or with the choice for the whole Reiju situation, which it's gonna be interesting, man, to see how this plays out here in the anime. But since they're adding a couple of like these anime only type of little tidbits here, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do later on the line, because in this arc, there are some scenes that I could definitely see them adding a couple more things to, especially if they want to add padding in order to make the episode longer. So this episode covered pretty much a page, an entire chapter, and then lead up to the next chapter. So, like 1.1 of a chapter. A very, very interesting choice of structure, but hey, man, like I said, I went into the episode thinking this was going to be a one-moment episode. That one moment was going to be what I was going to take away from this entire episode. But instead, it just like how it did in the manga, it was spread around, and I enjoyed multiple portions of the episode. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because to me, that one scene, the goodbye scene, is so important that it left me thinking like, whoa, for quite some time in the manga. So that to me is something worthy of a cliffhanger. That's something that needed to be a cliffhanger in order to leave it, ingrained into the head of anybody who's watching, especially for anime onlys. But they decided to go with Luffy wanting to get Sanji instead as the cliffhanger for this week's episode. So yeah, man, let me know what you guys think about this episode. Did you guys enjoy it? Did you guys enjoy the if you're a manga reader, did you enjoy the filler scenes that were added in order to add more to the atmosphere? And if you're a manga reader, or if you were an anime only, did you enjoy the episodes overall? Like, did it intrigue you? Are you excited for what's about to happen? Like, are you shocked? Are you like, just let me know what your overall feelings are, because this part right here, this stuff right here, to me, when I was originally going through it in the manga, man, I'm talking about moment chapters were dropping, man. We were in like swimmer, because I could not wait. The cliffhangers were killing me. It was just getting better and better each and every week, and I was like, what is going on here, man? This is godly. So let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section down below. I will be here on Twitter in a second posting some of these screenshots from this week's episode, but I just wanted to come on here and talk about some One Piece awesome sauce, man, and just get all this off my chest. It's nice to talk about the anime again, but thank you so much for watching, guys. Have an awesome day. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys felt, and I'll see you guys next time.